also, but thank you for joining in. We'll keep in touch. And
Sure.
yes, absolute pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Saurabh. I'll stay. I want to hear the other speakers as well. So I'm
Absolutely.
looking to.
More than welcome. Yeah. And the other speaker also heard you because he was there. I saw him there. Yes. So we'll move on to our next speaker, Nabeel Siddiqui. Uh, and Nabeel, are you there? Can I see you?
Uh, Hi, Julian. I'm just trying to start my video. Let me know once you can see me.
Okay. Okay, while Nabil is starting, his topic is Design Sprint Mantra to bring a new feature or product, five-phase process of design sprint that uses design thinking with the aim of reducing the risk when bringing a new product to the market. So everybody wants to bring a new product, and this is the man to talk to and hear from. So, a short bio of Nabeel. Nabeel has 6 years of experience in the international software industry. He is the incoming director at SAP America, and he specializes in strategy and product management. His he has also his experience has spanned across product development strategy, product management, and marketing at SAP and Duke. And he is also the recipient of awards like Top Innovative Minds and Excellence at Innovation for his contribution to the software industry. At Duke, Nabeel is leading the strategy wing of global women health technologies aimed to solve the crisis of global public health and to eradicate cervical cancer using technology. That's something great, definitely, and we look forward to hear about that. And he has also helped in raising grants worth millions of dollars and spearheaded the collaborations with Fortune 500 companies to join the Digital Transformation Initiative. He is an avid researcher in the field of enterprise gamification, Internet of Things, NoSQL, and has authored many books. And he is also a member of the editorial board at CRC Press and reviews international journals in the field of smart computing and the Internet of Things. But not that he's only technical and driven by technology. He also loves to hike, mountain climb, travel, and indulge in bungee jumping. So we always love to know a little bit more personal details about the speaker. Thank you for putting in there. And over to you, Nabil.
Thank you, Julian. Julian, I'm trying to start my video, but it says that the host has stopped it. So
How dare we stop you? Can you try now?
perfect. I hope you can
Yes,
see me, right?
yes, we can.
All right.
And
Hello, everyone. My name is Nabeel Siddiqui, joining in from Durham, North Carolina, in US. And as Julian has uh, spoke about me in length, so I'll not bore you guys with more details about me. So I'm happy to be here with you guys, and thank you for the opportunity. Let us talk IT and Cogent IBS. And I hope the next 15-20 minutes could be useful for you all. All right. So before I want this session to be interactive, so please feel free to ask any questions that you might have in between. And Julian, you can coordinate any questions that they have on chat. So I would like to ask everyone, like, what is your favorite product? It could be anything that you use. Julian, do you have any?
yeah, one answer from Kishore cell phone.
Perfect. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So phone, Facebook, many other things that you use on a daily basis becomes the product that you love. In today's session, what we'll see is that how we can make those products and how can it turn to be a user's favorite product, right? So how can we build a successful product? And there are no brainers there. Design sprint. So what is design sprint? A design sprint is a five-phase framework that helps answer critical business questions through rapid prototyping and user testing. You run in sprints where you define goals and deliverables and gain key learnings quickly. And the process helps spark innovation. It encourages user-centered thinking, and it aligns your team under a shared vision and get your product to launch faster, right? So where does it come from? Like, who has invented this design sprint framework that we'll be talking about today? So you all know this company, Google. So what happened was in 2010, they came up with this design sprint framework, and they have researched with more than 300 different business strategies and design thinking involving universities like Stanford and IDEO. And what they have mastered is the technique for divergent and convergent thinking in this whole design sprint process. And what we have now is a framework which could be transformed as per your need or as per your company's need, and it could be refined and tested as we go along. So what is design sprint? It is a 5-day process as we have seen. And what are those 5 days? On day 1, you try to understand the problem. On day 2, you sketch the solutions. Day 3, you decide which solution you want to go for. Day 4, you will prototype, like draw out, sketch, and use prototyping tools. And day 5, you will validate to see which solution is the best that could solve all the needs of the users, right? Let us see what was the traditional development process in companies. So this cyclic thing that you're seeing right now on the screen starts with idea, then you build, then you launch, and you learn. This is the traditional development process. People call it waterfall process, and it's called by different other names. So what is wrong with this process that we need to come up with something known as a design sprint? Well, everything that you see on screen is wrong with it. So what happens is you develop an idea, you build it, you launch it. In this 1, 2, 3, you spend a lot of money. And then you come to 4 and you learn that maybe this is not the one that my user needs. And then you start rubbing the whiteboard and doing some alternatives. So what it does is you go back and forth a lot of times, and you have already invested money in this whole process, and then it fails at a stage where you can't like just go back and do something without spending more money, right? So how this could be changed with this simple loop connecting idea and learn. So what we do is, so design sprint runs through that loop 1 to 4 that you can see on the screen. You develop a prototype, you test it with your users, and you see what they want, and then only you go to the build and launch phase. So you fail a multiple of times in that 1 to 4 before going to build and launch. So this is how we mitigate the risk and try to see and develop the product which is closer to users' needs. What we'll do today will help you answer this form. So this form may look very easy, but it takes years for the companies to get things right in the fill in the blanks that we are seeing right now. What I've done is, like, from my own example, I have just filled out something. We'll see how the design sprint will help you fill this form. Essentially, what we are writing in this form is, with the product X, we want to do blank by blank to maybe improve something so users can do this, right? So let's see how we can essentially fill this form using design sprint. One of the most important aspect of design sprint is research. So before you start a new idea or project, it can be very helpful to do explanatory research in advance of holding your sprints. And there are different types of research which companies do. They do participant observation, they do user interview, they do different kinds of surveys that you might be getting on the emails to fill up, right? And the beauty of this design sprint is it is not 4 or 5 people. So what we see essentially in companies is there will be like 4 or 5 key decision makers who will like drive the product. But in this is a democratic process. You include experts from different backgrounds. So in your team of 6 to 7 people who will be part of design sprint, you will have people from different roles like designer, product manager, engineer, writer, researcher, and all these people will contribute in the decision-making process. So here we don't have like 4 or 5 people of the same background. We have diversified it and democratized the process to make it more closer to everyone's skills and expertise. So let's start with day 1 of the design sprint. Day 1 is understand. So what do we understand here? We understand the business problem, the problem that user is facing from all angles. And what we create is a shared knowledge, and essentially we unite under a shared brain, right? We start the understanding the problem by a very cool exercise, which I call it how might we. And this is a note-taking method. So what you do is you have this cool question in your own words. So you start with how might we use streamlined onboarding to decrease app uninstalls, right? Similarly, everyone in the team will have their own way of drafting a problem, and we will stick these sticky notes on the board. Then what happens is, as I've said, that a design sprint or a design team consists of people from different backgrounds. So what we do is we try to learn something from their background. For example, if I'm an engineer, I might not know what is the best practices in user design or user research or UX design. So if a user UX researcher will come up and speak to the group for like 10 to 15 minutes about the topic, then we might get some 101 on the best practices, and we are not like blank when we are trying to discuss which screens look better, right, in the last phases. So like this, we share knowledge. Everyone from their background, they come in and they talk about the best practices about for 10 to 15 minutes, so that everyone gets an idea of where they're coming from. Then once we are done with the lightning talks, what we do is we have these post-it notes that we have stuck on the how might we post-it notes. So we try to cluster them into groups. For example, there could be some problems which people have listed to improve, to give seamless experience to users. Others might be talking about automation, right? So we will break down these post-its into these clusters, and so that we have everything segregated and clean when we are before going ahead. So in pre-COVID world, when everyone will be working in office, the how might we would look something like this. But for now, there are many, since everyone is working from home, there are many collaborative tools like Miro and Mural, which can help you achieve this whiteboarding or this exercise online. So as I said before, that the process is democratic. That means everyone in the team gets to vote, and no one has a clear say. So what happens is people vote on the best problem that could or the best problem in the post-its that could benefit the users in general, and the how might we board or how might we note that would get the most number of points get selected as the problems that we are trying to solve, right? So once we have selected the problems after this voting exercise, what we do is user journey mapping. And this is very important because the journeys that I have may be different from Julan's journey or maybe different from SAURABH's journey, right? Because we are different individuals, we have different habits. So it's very important to create user journey maps for different personas who will be involving in this, will be using my application, right? For example, if you can see here, I have created a user journey map for a lemonade stand. So if I'm a lemonade vendor, what I would do is I would try to find out how people operate, like how people come and buy the a lemonade juice. So what I have mapped there is like people find out about the stand, they come to the stand, they buy lemonade, and they pay the money, and then they like go away with the lemonade in their hand, like it's a takeaway order. And for a vendor, before all this starts, he has to market, he has to inform people about the lemonade stand, and then they will come. So you can see they have a different maps for their processes, and that's why we need to create journey maps for different personas. Then it's very important to know the users, right? So I might not know what SAURABH's likes and dislikes are if I don't speak to him, right? So what we do is we conduct user interviews with different sets of users. We ask them questions about their likes and dislikes, and we try to make them speak. We don't want a Boolean answer like yes or no. We try to understand the user stories and the background and where they're coming from, rather than just like collecting Boolean responses. Then now we have the user journey maps and how the user thinks ready, but we need to put ourselves as people who are trying to solve a problem in their shoes to basically solve the problem. So if I don't understand how Saurabh spends his day from 8 to 5, I'll not be able to solve the problem. So we simulate the environment, we try to role play and see how closer we can get to the user. So essentially what we do is a four matrix like this, where, for example, Jamie is trying to buy a TV, and we record things like what he says, what he does, what he thinks, what he feels, to understand how can we solve the problem or make his experience of buying a TV fun, right? In all this process, we have to understand that we cannot go by without discussing metrics. So we have to be clearly recording the metrics that would help us to understand whether we are successful or not. For example, a user might need the application to load in 3 seconds. So that becomes a metric that we need to follow. So we record all the metrics as well before going to the next phase. Then we come to day 2. We are done with day 1. Day 2 is a lot more fun, and people who love drawing, they will enjoy this because it's sketching. So here what we do is individual team members are given time and space to brainstorm solutions on their own. They sketch the ideas on papers, which you can see. And for example, if I have 8 people in my team, I'll give them 8 to 10 minutes, and each one will come up with their own ideas in that stipulated amount of time. So what will happen is we'll have 8 different ideas in 8 to 10 minutes. Isn't that good? So this is why we keep it time constrained, and we ask everyone to build their own individual idea. Now, again, we'll do voting. So we will see as a team, we'll reconvene to see which idea is closer to users' need, which is solving the problem, which we could take it forward. And maybe we'll choose top 2 or top 3 ideas at this phase before going to the next one. We come to day 3, which is decide. Here, what we do is we choose the best idea out of the 2 or 3 ideas that we saw or we shortlisted in the day 2, by the end of day 2. And what we do is the people, the idea owners, we call them, they come and they present their ideas. They talk in length about how it solves the problem, the features of the concept, and we all vote again. And this time we vote for the idea that is more closer to the user's need, and that gets selected to be prototyped in the day 4. So we come to day 4. Day 4 is prototyping. This is where your designers will get involved, and they will use tools like Adobe Photoshop, Sketch, PowerPoint, Proto.io, and Figma. I love Figma because I have used for a couple of years, and it gives you a very collaborative environment where you can like sketch with 2 or 3 people and show them how the progress is going on, how the screens are interacting. And by the end of your sketch, what you will get is a working prototype, which would simulate the whole application, right? So you can see how the screens are moving from home to login to other screens. Now, once you have the working prototype, it's time to validate the idea. And this closes the loop that we saw in the first PowerPoint presentation. So in the validate phase, it's a moment of truth where we see live users interact with our prototype and give feedback to our target audience. We do a lot of usability tests. We conduct, again, interviews of the people whom we called for interview on day 1, and we show them the prototype. What they do is they use the prototype, they interact with it and see if it is solving the problem that they listed on day 1, right? So we are continuously having users part of the process, as you can see. And that's why we are guaranteeing the success in this, because we are covered, because our users are part of the process of development, and it will be the product that we will make will be closer to their needs. So this is a data-driven exercise. We can draw graphs and see how many problems were found. And based on this graph, you can either reject or accept a prototype. What we do else is using tools like Optimizely and Zoho, and we conduct A/B test. So A/B test is basically what you do is you give different variations of the website to different users, right? Like beta testing, if you will. So what happens is you give user A different website, user B a different variation of the website, like this. So if you can see on the screen on the left, the discount the discount text does not have free running text in it. Free is a button which is on the right, and on the right screen what you see is free is part of the text, and you are asking whether it is opting, whether the user is opting or not. So what we do is we ask them to vote on these two control and variations, and whichever of this which will get higher votes or higher percentage of users will like it, we will promote that version and will go on to development and henceforth. So this this culminates the design sprint, and we run this concurrently in 3 or 4 weeks until we cover every solution. We have done all the screens, and it all happens at a lightning speed. You won't believe, in my experience, I've seen a whole product getting ready because of this approach in a couple of months, which was not possible before, because we had lots of back and forth and the users were not like part of the process. But it all changed with this design sprint approach, and we are making products that customers love. So thank you everyone for like patiently listening. You can scan these QR codes if you have any questions for me. And I would pass the baton to SAURABH, who will be talking about enterprise gamification. You can scan for his LinkedIn as well from this. And the thing that SAURABH will be speaking to you about is also a product of design sprint that we have done at SAP. So I hope you will enjoy that, and I hope you have enjoyed this session as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nabeel. It was again short, crisp, and to the point. So absolute pleasure to have you. Srini, any thoughts? Okay. So if not, then
I'm sorry, I'm on mute here, but yeah, thank you so much. It was again, a bird's eye view of you, and very much needed in the project successes. Sometimes, when we don't apply all the theory to the practices, that's when we see surprises in the go lives. But yeah, that was pretty good, and we definitely will like to stay in touch with you for further questions, if any. Thank you so much, and also good to see you, SAURABH. Thanks again for joining the Let Us Talk It platform, where we try to create an informed and empowered community. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jerome.
Yeah, and if you thought Nabeel, still do not go. If you thought Nabeel's introduction was finished, don't think so, because one important factor that Nabeel showed in this, it's been almost now going to be 2 years of this webinar. And amazing thing that I saw, that he was approached to be the speaker. And he, the one that we say that if you like something, or if you can share the word with the community, then it becomes our goal is achieved to some extent. And that's exactly what he did. He actually not only wanted to be the speaker, but he also informed his friend or his colleague, I'm not sure. He made sure that he's also part of the webinar today. So that is what community